Then they cried out to the Lord, "Oh, please, Lord, do not let us perish on account of this man's life. Do not hold us guilty of killing an innocent person. For you, O Lord, by your will have brought this about." And they heaved Jonah overboard, and the sea stopped raging. The picture that we're getting of the pagan sailors, who a few verses ago were all praying to their own pagan gods to save them, are now shown to be the very model of faithfulness to Jonah's God. By their accord, they have done everything they could to save Jonah. They don't want to take a life. They pray to his God, the God of Israel, for forgiveness. They speak of God's will and not their own will. They do all this before doing what they had previously thought unthinkable, throwing a passenger overboard. And of course, their faithfulness is rewarded when the sea ceases its raging. And of course, Jonah's faithlessness is punished when he is tossed overboard. There is a theological issue here. God has put these sailors not only in danger, but in the position of having to presumably murder someone to save themselves. Our instinct with such theological situations is to simply give God the benefit of the doubt because, of course, he's God. But take the situation and humanize it a bit more. Let's say that it's not God. Let's say that it's me. Let's say that someone has angered me and somehow you all got involved. And I give you a choice. Throw this person into the sea, surely guaranteeing their death, or I'm going to kill you all. What would that make me? It would make me a hostage taker. I'd be the villain of a Bruce Willis action movie. No, now we know the story, and we know that Jonah will survive, but the sailors in the story aren't privy to that information. Imagine the trauma. The men feared the Lord greatly. They offered a sacrifice to the Lord, and they made vows. As the story goes, this all becomes a catalyst for faith in the God of Israel for the sailors. Control of storms and seas in the ancient world was supposed to be the hallmark of a God's power. Every ancient pagan nation had their stories of their gods who were meant to bring the rains for the crops and still the storms that got too out of control. In this story, the God of Israel was shown to the pagan sailors to actually have this power. And so, having come in contact with the real God of sea and land, they come to faith. They pray to God and make sacrifices and they make vows. Imagine if this verse followed the opening verse of the book where God gave Jonah a mission. Imagine if after Jonah had been sent to Nineveh, Jonah had feared the Lord greatly. He offered a sacrifice to the Lord and he made vows. It might have been the shortest prophetic book in the Bible, but alas, Jonah does not have the kind of faith that the sailors have just found. At this point in the book, and laying aside anything that we know of what will come in the next chapter, what is the message of the first chapter of Jonah? There are some rather striking theological questions that arise from this chapter. What does it say of God who allows Jonah's faithlessness to endanger other innocent people? As we've just seen, what does it say that God puts others in the position of hurting or killing someone else to save their own lives. But even more basically, do people have the right to say no to God? In mainstream Christianity, we talk a lot about free will and the ability to choose God or not. We say that we believe that God very much wants us to choose him, but would never take that decision away from us. But that isn't what's happening here in the first chapter of Jonah. God asked him to do something. And with his actions, Jonah said no. But God didn't leave it at that and go and find someone else. Yes, we talk about obedience to God too, but does that mean then that we can't say no to God and then just take the consequences?